This is Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk. Here are your hosts, Dr. Tim Slecker and Dr. Johnny Lupinacci, educated educators talking education.
Yes, it is. Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk. Educated educators talking education. First downs, Friday nights. Hey, busting balls. You name it, Jess, right? This is we love this a special segment. Coach K, Jimmy Koska helped us put this together, bringing in guests we're going to be featuring every Friday. You know, right now, Friday night lights, particularly Friday night football and all that going on with athletics, but athletics across the public school system, all of the quote extracurriculars, and as we like to say here on Busted Pencils, the essential curriculars that are there, the requirements, because man, if you don't have football, if you don't have baseball, if you don't have prom, if you don't have fall festival, that's just not a public school system devoted to the community and democracy. We've got a great guest tonight. Our guest, Mel Dow. He is the Associate Director of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association. Mel, welcome to Busted Pencils.
Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
All right, so get into this. For anybody listening out there, you are the Associate Director of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association. All right, what do you do, Mel?
Well, the WIAA, as is commonly known, is an association of member schools across the state of Wisconsin. We currently have 518 member schools in the state of Wisconsin. That's both public and private. And they voluntarily are members of our association. And what we do is we help facilitate the rules that the member schools create. And then we also provide a tournament series for them for championship events in each of the respective sports.
And right now we're in the fall sports. So what are obviously Friday night football, but what other school sports are going on in the fall?
Yeah, well, the fall sport that I have the pleasure of overseeing is cross country for both boys and the girls. We also have both boys and girls volleyball. We have swimming for girls. We have, soccer for the boys in the fall, or the sports that we currently offer in the fall.
So on with all of that though, and you're really with the cross country, pointing that out. But yeah, we kind of get lost or thinking that fall sports, Friday night football. So Mel, thanks for reminding us of all of those comprehensive sports that are going on out there. And so if you happen to be out there and going, yeah, I play volleyball, I do cross country, this is exactly what we're talking about here. This is what First Downs and Friday Night Lights Busting Balls is all about. We want to talk about those extracurriculars. Hey, in fact, we got a mailbag, and give us a call, 608-557-8577. Drop us a note. Let us know questions, what's going on around your area on Friday nights as you're happening out there. The number's 608-557-8577. That's the Busted Pencils mailbag. Put it out there. All right, Mel, though, I gotta say though, we're gonna talk about the rules that are going on out there with the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association. Coach K, Jimmy Koska, sent me some of the things that you guys are working on, and I'm gonna admit I had no idea that there was anything even remotely close to this. I might date myself, but graduating high school in 1985, being a football player, a wrestler, I was never once approached by any sports teams that wanted to use my name, my image, and my likeness. I thought for sure that was only something that ever happened when you got into, man, it wasn't even college then, but in the pros that you might see something like that. Really? We have to have policy for name, image, and likeness issues in high school sports? Help me understand more about this.
Yeah, Tim, it's an ever-changing landscape as it is in all parts of education. And same thing in educationally based athletics is what's the business that we're in. It started obviously, actually it dates even before athletics. People were involved in advertisements,
Mm,
kids in movies and TV stars and things like that. That's their name, image, and their likeness. But in the marketing world, people are looking for the next ad, the next thing that will help them sell. And yes, it started in the professional ranks, obviously. You think back to the old Michael Jordan commercials and
right,
so
right.
forth and so on. And once that market got saturated, they looked for what was next. And not too long ago, the NCAA passed name, image, and likeness opportunities, where their student athletes were able to start monetizing on their likeness. And just like everything else in this world, it starts at the highest level and it filters its way down. And now it's sweeping the nation at the high school level. Uh, you know, we we obviously we want to help our student athletes from being exploited, and
Mm.
that's one of the biggest things with this. And it's why the membership needs to have these kind of conversations of how can they find that balance between what are some of the rights of student athletes to be able to monetize on what it is that they do that's not associated with their schools and their school programming, and those from being exploited from those that are trying to capitalize on the kids' own success.
So with this policy, just thinking about this for anybody who's listening, going like, so the Wheaties box, right? Getting my image on Wheaties. I don't know again if that dates me, but
Maybe a
think
little.
sorry, just a little bit. Okay, but whatever. Air Jordans, as we point this out, the ability though to monetize is what we're talking about on my name, my image, my likeness. And so, yeah, most people's association with that is usually some form of pro athletes that are out there doing this. That
Yeah.
they get a contract. They're yeah, Michael Jordan. Let's be honest, okay, Michael Jordan, Nike, great name, image, likeness there. The branding became almost exclusively there in the 90s. That if you were talking about Nike, you were talking about Michael Jordan. And that was a monetary situation. The reality though too, as you point out, it dropped down into college because yeah, those brands really started to look at college athletes and saying, hey, we think that we can let's use that word, use you to help us market our brand, but at the same time they could get money. And I remember some of the earlier kind of discussions on this was, no, we're not going to let college athletes get into this relationship because of potentially, yeah, exploitation, but all kinds of foul things that could go awry here. And I remember, though, some of the pro and con debates at that point was saying, but wait, why can't we allow college students to make money? Because you know what? In the athletics, and this was just one argument that I remember hearing, is that you are one injury away from a career ending career ending injury, right? And so the ability to be able to monetize and make some money was to say that it kind of got put as, this is only fair to allow people to make money on their name, likeness, and image. Yeah, help me out, Mel, though, so where we
Well,
are. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, also taking a look a little bit about how the college landscape changed is that many of the college athletes, the discussion was they were an amateur student athlete,
Right.
and the value that they got was the value of an education. But
Okay.
then the argument came back and said, but these institutions of higher learning are making millions upon millions of dollars, these TV contracts and so forth. And that was the real catalyst of NIL changing at the college level. And again, as we said before, things trickle down. And a key thing to note is that this is not a sweeping change for high school athletes. The national average right now, there's over 35 states that allow name, image, and likeness for their high school student athletes. I think actually last count was 37 or 38 states. And the national average is less than 1% of high school athletes are in a name, image, and likeness deal.
Mm.
It's not like what we are hearing. That's some of the horror stories that are taking place at the collegiate ranks, where kids are getting multi-million-dollar contracts.
Okay, so yeah, let's be real then, right? As we're talking about this at the high school level, but so just what are some of the potential reasons why we want to protect high school athletes from some of these marketing situations here that just in case somebody's out there going, but I want my kid to be represented by Nike. Okay,
Yeah.
what could go wrong?
Well, currently the WIAA, like many other states at one time, had amateur status rules, and ours currently is still in effect. And again, it's there to protect the student athletes. They must remain an amateurs in all aspects of it. But we currently have violations, and we have quite a few violations each year of this amateur status. And I'll use the example of, say, a local restaurant will say, "Hey, come down to Joe's Pizza Shack after the game because Johnny, the starting quarterback, eats our pizza before the game."
Mm.
Well, they're using the kid's name and performance
Ah.
to draw people into their business or their establishment. Or a fitness club will say, "Hey, the Kingstown Cobras come in here and they get their off-season workouts with us. You should come in and be a part of our organization." And the problem with that is they're drawing business on the successes of those student athletes, and that's the exploitation that we talk about. And what we want to do is we want to protect those kids of it. Now, we work very hard to restore the eligibility of those student athletes in those situations. The athletic directors, along with our office, work with those places that violate the rules. And most of these are situations where the family's not even aware of it. Social media has just magnified this tenfold. Just a quick picture and a post on social media can go a long way, with all these views and clicks and such. But we work hard to restore that eligibility. And once it's peeled back and restored, then the student athletes are able to maintain their eligibility.
Mel, I just coming forward with this my naivete. I just didn't realize how much of this was there. When I was looking at some of the rules by the WIAA, I mean they start to make sense to me because now I'm going to throw this back to my high school, so Steel Valley High School. So I'm a great wrestler, and I've been approached now by a brand that wants to use my name, image, and likeness. I can say yes, but tell me about the conditions that say what I can and can't do if I get into a contract. And it said this isn't the very simple things as you said, just getting kind of screwed up with the social media blop with the restaurant. But I'm a great high school wrestler. I wrestle for Steel Valley High School, and Nike has come forward and wants to use my name, image, and likeness. There are rules, though, that very specifically say what I can and can't do. Help me understand that for anybody out there right now who happens to maybe potentially be in this position.
Sure. Well, a key thing to note is that currently in Wisconsin, there is no name, image, and likeness for high school athletes. The membership is currently considering it. Last April, they had a discussion, and the membership voted and turned it down in about a 55 to 45% ratio, where they declined it. And that proposed language simply stated that a student athlete could engage in name, image, and likeness opportunities for anything that was not associated to their school team, their conference, or the association, as well as some other parameters, nothing regarding drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and then there was no affiliation to their school programming. So that simply meant that anybody that was some sort of a contributor to the school system could not be a part of their name, image, and likeness. And that was to prevent any undue influence. Some of the challenges that are facing college sports right now with all these collectives and things. The membership had considered that type of language.
So at this point, there isn't my ability if I'm a high school athlete in Wisconsin. But what you had pointed out though, so when I said, if this would happen though, the rules that they were negotiating would have said then and I think this is the way most parents and student athletes could really understand this is that okay, you've got this deal, but guess what? You're not going to take any pictures wearing your high school's colors, the logos, the name, those types of things, because you're going to be an individual, your name, image, and likeness as an individual, and it's not going to be associated with your high school.
Correct, and that was just to protect the sanctity of high school sports. You know, everything that about the teamwork, the cohesion, so forth and so on, affiliated with high school sports. Keep high school sports as pure as possible. But if an athlete is successful outside of their high school sporting world, albeit if it's a club or something like that, they could go ahead and engage in those type of things. That was the concept.
That was the concept, but right now though the concept is no, this isn't going to happen. Do you? I just wonder. That seemed like a pretty decently close vote. Do you see this at some point continuing to come up in the following year, in the coming years?
Yeah, so we are currently having area meetings where we go out across the state of Wisconsin and visit with all the administrators from the respective member schools, and we talk about the topics that are coming up over the upcoming year. And name, image, and likeness was one of them that the membership asked to continue having those conversations. The key thing to understand is all the rules of eligibility within the WIAA are written by the member schools. Our administrative office does not write rules. The schools themselves write their rules. And other states have been forced into a situation where either through legislation or through the result of a lost lawsuit, where their rules have been written for them. And again, the key thing about our rules are they're written by the schools. And the membership feels that they do a better job writing rules, applying to what they're there for, than having an outside group or organization or entity for that matter write their rules. So yes, the membership will continue to have these conversations to make sure that the rules fit the needs of their respective students at this time.
I just thinking about that. So you're listening to this podcast, First Downs and Friday Night Lights with Mel Dow. The number 608-557-8577. Wondering, if you're out there and you have a question about name, image, and likeness, or any other questions dealing with Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association, how we're dealing with this. But if you're out there, I would love to hear, what do you think? Should Wisconsin be putting forward a policy that would allow this? And then if so, what would the rules be? The Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association, they've been dealing with this. Mel Dow, really appreciate you coming on the show. And as we always like to say, Mel, thank you for busting pencils.